Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Ramey, and I teach English at Northern State University, and my specialty is in medieval literature. A lot of times students and individuals want to know what's the right form of this sentence, or what's the grammatical correct form. And what's interesting right now is that standards are changing rapidly in a lot of ways. For example, the word they in the past was always a plural, and we see it increasingly being used for a singular, like the thief left their wallet at the crime scene. Even in sort of mass publication we're seeing this. So we're seeing changing standards and a bit of a loosening of standards. More and more speech is informal, even in publications like the American News perhaps. We're seeing less and less sort of rigid formality. And that, I think, reflects a culture that's maybe loosening up in some ways, that's not quite as worried about getting it right all the time. There's also a lot of other ways the language is changing. And language changes because there's nothing rooting it down. There's no essential meaning to a word. Words mean what we use them to mean, and so that changes. So, for example, when I was young, swear words, the ones you could think of, were especially naughty to say. Well, in fact, there's a loosening of sort of the badness of a lot of cuss words, whereas new forms have replaced those words as taboo words. That is, words that you can't say or you'll pay for it in terms of the social costs. So that's interesting. So our taboos are changing as well in the language, where the potty language or the sexual humor has become sort of less bad, whereas terms about race, gender, sexual identity have become more hot button. And so we're seeing a change in taboos. All languages have taboos, and it's fascinating to see those change. They're about cultural shifts, and that's what we're seeing. Are accents changing in our language? Are people speaking English in a different way? The answer is yes. People are pronouncing English in new and different ways, and it's not just Valley girls out in California. In fact, it's a lot of industrial hubs where we're seeing a divergence of working class accents. There's a phenomenon called the Northern Cities vowel shift. And for example, a lot of the industrial hubs around the Great Lakes, like Cleveland, are seeing a shift in the way certain vowels are pronounced. So those are becoming more different than the rest of mainstream America. There was a perception, at least about 15 years ago, that the language was becoming homogenous, that everyone eventually, due to the mass media, was going to speak the same sort of accent. Hasn't happened. There's ethnic groups that are speaking more and more distinctive English. There's class differences and even some regional differences. So our language is changing like crazy, and it's not becoming more homogenous. If anything, it's growing more diverse in some fascinating ways. Taboos are changing, and standards are changing. This can be disconcerting for people that want to get it right, but that's language for you. It's messy.